What's going on? So I'm doing another replay cast for Total War Warhammer 3, playing Domination on Grove of Slaughter. Again, I'm playing as the Ogre Kingdoms, and my opponent is playing as Kislev. So Kislev is a roster that I'm not too familiar with, so I went with a somewhat general build, you know, not too heavy into ranged units, not too heavy into melee units. And I brought Scrag the Slaughter because I figured that they would probably have a decent amount of infantry. I have not seen too many replays of, slow down the camera here. Alright, so I haven't seen too many replays of the Kislevites, I guess they're called. But I do know that they have a decent amount of ranged units and some hybrid units that can fight decently in ranged and melee combat. So I've got 3 squads of Noblars, 1 hiding in the trees, 2 over here, 2 squads of Noblar trappers. Again, I brought Scrag. Oh, excuse me, I didn't bring Scrag. I brought a Slaughtermaster of Beasts as my general. I brought Crushers with great weapons because I figured they were probably going to have some decent cavalry. Ogre Bulls with Iron Fist, I brought them because they're the shielded variant. Figured they'd be more resistant to the mixed missile units that Kislev brings. Some Saber Tusks to run around the backs, Lead Belchers, and 2 Noblar Scrap Launchers. So my opponent has brought Boris Ursus as his general. He's got a Patriarch, and he's got, let's see, Armored Kosars with spears, normal Kosars, or Kossars I guess, and 2 squads of Ice Guard with glaives. He's also got 2 squads of Winged Lancers hiding in the woods, and he's bringing in some more Armored Kossars. So we'll get up to normal speed, and we'll get into this. So my objective was to compete for sectors 3 and 2. And one thing that I realized as I was playing this was I probably could have brought more ogres, either ogre bulls or man-eaters, than I planned on bringing because of the amount of trees and just cover from missile fire at this center point. So either way, I brought my Noblar Scrap Launchers over to this side. He ended up going the opposite way, so they didn't really get good positioning starting off, but I'm hiding my Crushers with great weapons in the woods, hoping that if they end up trying to charge my Scrap Launchers with cavalry, try to pick them off a position, I can countercharge with the Crushers. And then you can see I've got my men kind of just moving into a concave around this area. One thing, Noblar is moving on to this point, get some capture weight on it. And my opponent is going straight for the other point with his Patriarch with some of his Kossars. He's got Boris heading into Sector 2, and the rest of his troops are kind of marching out in that backfield. So at this point, I figured it's just going to be a fight on the middle section mostly, given he did not have many troops over here. At least he didn't have any troops over at point 3. Towards the beginning, so I started bringing guys over to either side of the tower in the middle, and he did as well. And I did not have vision of these guys actually when I first started marching in here, so I was under the impression that he just had Boris there. And so I think I just used the extra ingredients spell, or ability I should say, on my Slaughtermaster, and I brought him with Flock of Doom to try to deal with the infantry blobs, and with the Amber Spear in case I could get that off on any large entities, like if he brought a big bear, or if he had any high tier cavalry, that I'd use that on them. Got my Lead Belchers backing up my Noblars, and still just holding position right now. And you can see he's got a lot of infantry moving around. He's got some Winged Lancers in the back there, maneuvering around in the woods. Sent a lot of his troops over to this back point. And I was maneuvering some of my Saber Tusks over to this part of the woods, figuring that he might try to send some troops around this way, and it's kind of what I was thinking at this point. So I start moving in here, started sending some Noblars to attack his armored Kossars. Got Noblar trappers going in to get some range support, and then I've got my Ogre Bulls with Iron Fist going on the left side to support these Noblars. Now he starts sending some of his cavalry around here, and I'm keeping an eye on that. I probably could have shifted more of my troops over to this side earlier here. I was still waiting to see if he did anything, and I was onto something. He does have winged lancers waiting in the woods here, but I was not aware of that because I couldn't see him. I was wondering if that might happen. So because I saw his other group of winged lancers coming around this side, I summoned in some crushers with great weapons, got a good charge on them. I don't think he saw that coming. I think he was just issuing a move command over here to get on top of my Noblar scrap launchers. These guys are quite a bit faster than my crushers, so I had to chase them down, and he ended up locking down my scrap launchers, so I wasn't able to get them into good use early on. I did charge back out with some saber tusk packs, the ones that I was hiding in this tree line, so they did end up getting put to use. Probably not in the situation that I wanted them to be, but nevertheless. So Boris is just crushing my front line, and he is anti-large and armor piercing. Okay, he's got magic attack and frostbite. So again, I'm still not familiar with a lot of the rosters, so I'm kind of learning as I do these replays and as I play these matches what types of abilities and stats some of these different units have. So I sent my Slaughtermaster in, and now that I'm looking at his stats, I should not have done that because Boris is anti-large, and my Slaughtermaster is just not going to be matching up well with him in combat. Now I sent some crushers to go out and chase down these winged lancers that had charged out into my victory point 3, and was also chasing down these light war sleds, which happened to come in around the same time. A lot of my troops fleeing out. They just have better troops in this area. Almost all of my troops are Noblars other than my Ogre Bulls, and they're not going to be able to stand up to these guys with the spell from the Patriarch buffing them. These are Zargard, armor piercing anti-infantry, plus they've got plus 40 attacks, so they're at 81 melee attack right now, which is just absurd. Dropped a burning skull over on him with my fire belly, who I brought in, I believe, through the fire belly into this battle as well, which was also not a great idea. Although I had them outnumbered, these guys just way better in combat. Got some Noblar trappers, getting some ranged attacks in on the light war sled. I noticed that these do not have too much armor, so I figured they could attack the war sled while my crushers and my other Noblars went after the winged lancers. And now they're just getting shot to shit from all the Kossars that he has in the back and the Ice Guard. Kind of miss micro with these saber tusk packs. I meant to run them through and then get them into the archer lines, but lost track of them, and they ended up just fighting with the Zargard. And these crushers fighting the Zargard is also not something that I want. Ideally, I have them targeting the Patriarch, but I know I did not target him because I was not being too familiar with the roster. The Patriarch was kind of running wild, and I was never trying to pick on that unit, noticing it was just like this small bear that counts as a large entity but is not particularly noticeable. So at this point, I brought in the Snowhorn of Morn, the big Snowhorn that's got some missile resist. This was somewhat of a waste of money for me because I did not end up using his ability. I forgot about his armor and missile resist ability. And so I didn't really put that to use, but I figured I'd send him into this infantry and have him deal with a Zargard. Got some saber tucks on the side, dealing with these armored Kossars, and he's got some reinforcements coming over from point 1. So at this point, you can see he's got about double my victory points, and I'm really trying to get on point 2 and contest this middle area. My troops over here are getting chased off. My crushers got chased off. Again, these guys really just got shot down by all the Kossars and Ice Guard that he's got. And my Noblar scrap launchers, I kind of had them running back and forth between this area and this area, trying to shoot down these lanes, mostly aiming at Kossars. My fire belly at this point was getting pretty beat up by Boris, and as well as my Slaughtermaster. And I ran him out of there and kind of hid him behind this wall, figuring that I could get some spells off on these Kossars, hoping that he wouldn't notice this guy, and that I could kind of keep him at a distance and run him back if he ever did notice him. Just shot off a fireball and a fire, I think it's called fire breath. This is his ability that he's got. He got fire breath on those Kossars. Maybe not the best target, especially while they're moving. Didn't seem to do that much damage, but either way, my Slaughtermaster is just getting destroyed by Boris. This guy seems like he's a pretty gnarly one-on-one fighter. He's got pretty good stats. He's being buffed right now, but 54 melee attack, 69 melee defense, and then 579 weapon strength with anti-large, with armor piercing. My lord was just, I shouldn't have sent him in there. And this is a matchup that I'll learn more about. But we're getting smashed in the middle. Just his Zarguard, the Ice Guard shooting in, his missile support, the Patriarch using the buffs that it has are really putting a hurt on me in the middle. And I didn't do the best job of keeping my Noblars busy and making sure I was getting troops fighting on the point here. Now, nevertheless, the value trade is not too bad. I'm only behind by about 800 points. But you can see some of my units sitting idly. These guys are going to be shooting at these winged lancers that are chasing down my Noblar scrap launchers. But like I said earlier, my Noblar scrap launchers ended up running back and forth throughout this match. And I didn't feel that I got to put them to full use. And honestly, in hindsight, I probably could have used less artillery in this matchup, given that I was going to be contesting this point. It might have been better for me to fight over here on points 1 and 3 instead of going for point 2. But anyways, you can see my Stone Horde is still doing decent in the middle. It's not losing too much health. It's wreaking havoc on the Zarguard, taking out some high value infantry. Boris is backing up to his main force. He's lost quite a bit of health because he's been fighting it around point 2 for just about the whole match. And at this point, value trade is pretty close. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, all right, I just need to keep bringing guys in, keep on this fight in the middle, and trying to wrestle this away from him. And then hopefully through winning some more value trade, I was looking at a triple cap at this point because, again, he's doubled up on me. And I think this is a situation where I need to get a triple cap 100%. And I mean, you can see having those armored Kossars, although I got a burning head off on them. They have some kind of... Okay. So I was looking to see if that was like a spell resist thing, but it wasn't. So just a lot of missile fire coming in. He did a pretty good job of positioning his troops and making sure that he had range support for whatever combat was going on. Another squad of my Crushers getting chased off. And I brought in another scrap launcher, and what I was thinking was that I could, if I brought in another with some more lead belchers as well, I could maneuver them around and take down some of these Kossars, some of these Ice Guard, basically take advantage of the range advantage that I have. As far as, and when I say range advantage, I don't necessarily mean firepower, but I do mean the distance that I can fire from. And the scrap launchers are fast as well. These guys have 66 speed, so that's definitely a benefit of them. Now at this point, you see all these scrap launchers turn about face because this group of Griffin Legions started charging in. You can see a bunch of them just got smashed by that volley. Summoned in some Crushers with great weapons, and that was a really good pick for me. Griffin Legions, like decent cavalry. I'm assuming they're somewhat expensive just given their stats. 110 armor with shields and 100 leadership. Not the best combat stats, but decent charge. 72 charge with those stats is pretty good. So kind of shock cavalry. Well, yeah, it says they're shock cavalry. And at that point, I was like, all right, so now I'm gonna. Luckily, he charged his Kossars and his Ice Guard around this way, which got them into range of my Noblar scrap launchers. But he also collapsed my lines on the middle and was able to charge out with his Lord, his Patriarch, and his Winged Lancers. So he's got Winged Lancers, War Sled, Kossars, basically just about everything he's got pushing onto my side of the field. And Again, the value trade is not that big of a difference, but the point differential is a big difference. And I do not have what I need to start capturing victory points. I don't have the momentum, I don't have the troop numbers. My lord is dead, so my units are going to flee more easily. I'm like 95% sure that my Slaughtermaster of Beasts got killed. I don't think he got chased off the field. I'm pretty sure Boris had killed him. And now we're all fighting in a blob here. I don't have Saber Tusk to get around the flanks and deal with these ranged units. These guys are there, but you know, they're tired. They're at 18 models. They're going to get chased off by just about anything. Maybe a single volley of shots from one of these units would scare them off. And we lost from victory points. So definitely a matchup I'm going to have to take some time to get more familiar with. I'll probably sit down and look at the Kislev unit roster at some point. But good game to my opponent. And I'll take a quick look at the values. So Slaughtermaster, not much. These guys did pretty good. I think they cost 1,900, so they did all right. And the reason they show that full health is because I summoned them back in. So yeah, you can see nobody did particularly well. This Saber Tusk pack did pretty good. Holy hell, I did not realize this one group of Noblar trappers got 1,000 value. That's pretty good. Noblars themselves did pretty good. They earned their money. Not a unit that you would think is going to earn a decent amount. Crushers with great weapons. In fact, actually, was this Mornfang? No, that was Crushers with great weapons. I usually use a Mornfang cavalry. So, surprisingly, the Noblars themselves and the Saber Tusk seems like they did most of the work for me. Boris just did, oh my gosh, a ton of value. And I would bet that a lot of this was earned from him killing my lord and putting a lot of damage into my fire belly. Patriarch decent, Ice Guard decent, Winged Hussars nothing special. Cossars, the armored Cossars did pretty good. Cossars with spears and normal Cossars didn't do anything special. Let's see what else. Griffin Legion did all right. Zargard. That's a lot of kills. They were just slaughtering Noblars, you know, just shredding through Noblars. Didn't do a ton of gold value. I'm assuming these guys cost about this much. The war sleds did a lot of work, and that's it. So you can see nothing particularly special on his side outside of Boris as far as damage value. But he just did a really good job of taking care of the units that I had and making sure that he kept dominance over the points. And well played to him for that. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next replay.